Welcome back. Now we've created our virtual machine, it's been deployed, and you can see it's on the list of recent resources. If we select this from recent resources, you can see the various properties we selected. In particular, it's running in US East. This is our account, we didn't need to select that. It's Linux, Ubuntu, blah blah blah, 2 VCUs, 4 gig of memory, and we now have an IP address. Now this is a virtual machine server, so we don't have a graphic interface to it. We'll be talking to it using PowerShell, basically a command line application on Windows or a similar application on Mac, which will allow us to type commands. As we go forward, we'll see we're actually going to interface this using a web browser, but for the time being, we need to get things started, we need to use commands. So let's copy that address. So what we need now is to start Windows PowerShell, which is a standard application. So you just go into the Start menu, pull up PowerShell, and you remember that key file we created before. So I've actually got the command set up. So inside PowerShell we use the SSH, that is the Secure Shell Application. We want the name of our key file, and remember when we set the system up, the administrator name is Azure user, and then we want the IP address. So the IP address checks out. Now what I've done here is I've copied this key file. It is just readable code. You can look at it if you like. It's like a password, except it's about 10 lines of random characters and whatever. I've copied that out of downloads into this folder. I've called it C video, just so you can see what happens very often. And you get this error. It is not Microsoft or Azure who created this error. This is a standard implementation from OpenSSH, and this key file, that is the .pem file, any .pem file, must be private and not readable. So this error comes out a lot. You've got your key file, you can't lose the key file, you're going to move from one machine to another, you copy it onto a USB, it becomes readable, and we have to fix those permissions. That's what we're going to do here. This is a Windows host, a lot easier on a Mac. Basically, we need to go to the File Explorer, which is here. I've got it set up. You click right, go to Properties, and you'll see we've got the name of the file. There's also a tab called Security. Quite often you download these files, and if you're the administrator, you click right and do Properties. There is no Security tab. This only appears when you copy it later on. So we click on Security, and what we want to do now is go to Advanced, and you can see lots of people can access this file. So what we want to do is disable this inheritance, remove all inherited objects, and now we're going to add something back. And what we want to do is select a principal, and basically this is your login name here. So I will type in whatever my login name is. So this is your Windows identifier. Click check names, it should show that it's found it. You say OK. Now you can see you have read and execute privileges and read. You just want to be able to read this to satisfy this step. You say OK. We apply this. So we've removed a whole load of other privileges. Say OK, and you could see this is now a read-only object. Hopefully this will now satisfy our PowerShell. Come back to the PowerShell there, repeat the command SSH -i, that's our key name. So -i indicates where our key file is. As your user is the user on the host, so that has to be right. We've already talked about the host IP address. And now you can see, even though we're still talking to a dark blue and white screen, it's now changed to Azure user at KF732X, which is our Linux Ubuntu host. And what we're going to do in the next set is just go through to configure this with our module software.